You are listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast. My name is Andrew Mackay-Smith, and I hope wherever you are and whatever you are doing very well. You're about to hear an interview with another legend, Schmier, the bass player, vocalist, and I believe he's a founding member of German band Destruction, thrash metal icons and superstars. They are touring Australia on the Down Under Attack Australian Tour 2018 tour. I'm going to read out some dates. They're all in April. Friday the 20th, they're playing Perth at the Amplifier. Saturday the 21st, they're playing Adelaide at Fowlers. Tuesday the 24th, they're playing Melbourne at Max Watts. Thursday the 26th, they are playing Canberra at the Basement. Friday the 27th, they are playing Brisbane at Crowbar. I'll certainly be at that one. And finally, Saturday the 28th, they are playing Sydney at the Manning Bar. Without further ado and further delay, let's get to the chat with Schmier. Here we go.
Hello, Andrew. Do you hear me?
I can indeed. I can hear loud and clear. How's things?
Yeah, sorry, a little delay. It's a stressful week, and I'm talking too much sometimes, and then the connections didn't work, and we had to call again. And
yes.
Now we're here. Now we're here with almost 20 minutes delay. I'm sorry, but I'm glad you waited.
No, that's no worries, mate. I was looking forward to having a chat. I don't know whether you recall, we had a chat about 4 or 5 months back when you released the Panzer album.
Yeah. The Panzer album, I remember, yeah.
Yeah. So that'll be my first question for you. Now that the Panzer album's 5 or 6 months old, how has it been received?
I think it's been received well. I can see that here, especially here in Germany, some of the Herman fans
Yes.
were maybe a little disappointed he's not in the band anymore, which I understand. But for me, I think the album is still fantastic. I'm still very proud on it. I don't know how the sales went compared to the first one. I guess maybe the first one sold a little bit more so far. But actually, it's at the end of this week, end of March is always the time frame for the statements from the label. So then I will know how much the bands have sold actually.
Oh, good on you.
So far, yeah. But it's. I still enjoy the record, and I'm still very proud I did it. And of course, it doesn't have the same attention as New Destruction release, But I have a lot of people that really like the record because I had just a chat with some younger kids that were like more Destruction fans, and they really liked the Panzer album, and they said, oh, the Judas Priest album, I just got a new Judas Priest album, and now I know where the Panzer's coming from,
Yes.
So it's kind of funny that the kids discover Priest after Panzer, because But of course you have to say this is the best Judas Priest album in 25 years or so, or whatever.
Yeah, it is. It's I'm like you, mate. I'm an old fan of Judas Priest, so I wasn't old enough to get into them until Painkiller came out, but Painkiller's still a high watermark for me. But this is an album which is at least in the same ballpark, I think.
Oh yeah, I think until there's maybe 2 songs on the album that are not super great, but 8 songs or 9 songs are fucking killer. They're like anthems. They're catchy as fuck, and Halford's vocal are majestic, and there's a lot of nice guitar parts, and it has all I need from a Priest album, and I'm so glad they made another album like this. It's in my car since days, and I can't stop listening, and the more I listen, the better it gets also. I mean, it's difficult to name a favorite song because there's so many good ones, actually. It's amazing.
Yeah, look, I know that the band themselves have disputed this after the KK Downing thing came out about him not being a bit miffed that he wasn't invited back into the band when Glenn has the issues that have been well publicised. But I can actually hear Andy Sneap's influence across the album, not just as a producer, but as a songwriter. Now, I know he'll never be credited, and I know the band will never come out and say that, but I was a big fan of the album that Hell came out with in 2011. And I can hear some stuff from on that album that Andy Sneap both produced and joined in that band on this new Priest album.
Yeah, Andy is a guy that when he goes into a production like this, he's giving all he can. I met him when he was into the Priest production, and he's actually completely sober now. He doesn't drink alcohol anymore and everything. And I asked him how does it go with the Priest, and he says, of course Glenn's problem made it difficult here and there, but he was very positive about the record, and he said there's some really good songs on it. And I know from Accept also, when he did the first album with Accept also, that he sat down with Wolf and he played Wolf the old songs, and he led Wolf into the right direction again to write songs like this again, because it needs somebody that has the ears and the patience, and I knew when I heard Andy was involved in the new Priest album, I knew it would be.
You knew it was going to be good. Yeah, exactly.
It's going to be good. It's going to be a good one, and I'm not sure about him being the guitarist that replaces Glenn at the moment. Because Andy's not a lead player. He's a
rhythm guy, isn't he?
He's a rhythm guy, and he's a songwriter. Yeah, exactly. And he's a technic freak also, of course. But of course, for him, it must be amazing to play with Priest now. I mean, it's like, wow. It's like all of a sudden you're playing your favorite band. It's like, holy fuck.
Yeah, that's right. It'll be interesting to see what they do after this tour cycle is finished, whether they do a Slayer and they decide to go into... Well, I know we don't know what Slayer are going to do, but they're hinting at fully retiring, aren't they? Because they're talking about not touring. But I wouldn't mind betting that Priest do the same thing, because of the strength of this album, mate. It's going to be very hard for them to follow it up without Glenn.
Yeah, I don't think. I think this will be the last album. Glenn was always Priest. That's the reason why KK left the band. Because Glenn was the boss.
Yes.
And KK wanted to have more piece of the cake, and Glenn didn't really let him. But now that Glenn retires, I don't know. Maybe Glenn wants the band to go on without him, but I don't know if this really makes sense.
Well, they're not Kiss.
When I see it live without Glenn now, it's not the same. But when I listen to the album, it's great. But when I see the live videos from the American tour right now, it's not the same, because Glenn is not there. He's been the motor in the band for all of those years.
Yes, indeed.
So
yeah, it's more or less.
It's maybe the last. It's maybe the last album, I guess. But of course, also Halford's gonna turn 70 soon. But I mean, his voice is amazing on this album. So it's like, wow, he shows the kids how it's done.
He has, yeah. It reminds me, as I say, I don't think it's as good as Painkiller, but at least it's in the ballpark. And I totally agree with you. I think this is going to be the last one. I can't see how they can follow it up. It'll just be far too hard without the core membership.
Yeah, you know how it was after Painkiller. They couldn't do another album like this. It's not so easy. It's like one of a lifetime record, and the expectations are super high. And
too high, yeah.
It's not so easy, and at a certain age, it's difficult. And at a certain age, also, you don't have this bite anymore. You don't have to prove yourself. I think if they keep this as the last album, everybody will be happy. It's a statement for life. But they have to play some shows, I guess. I mean, the album is a huge success, so they will tour, and I don't think Andy Sneap can do all the touring. I mean, he has to stop his whole producer stuff, and but also Andy Sneap said to me, KK will not come back, so I think there's no chance that KK comes back. Also, now that he talked the press
in the media,
the media lately was a lot of bad talks and stuff, so now it's too late.
Talking about touring and shows, mate, you're coming down. Thank God you are, because we're all looking forward to that one. You're coming down next month. It's only a couple of days away, or no, your shows are a few weeks away, but April's a couple of days away. So what sort of show are you bringing down? Are you going to be playing the Thrash Classics 2 album?
We basically bring like a big package of 36 years of thrash metal with us. We focus on the old school songs. Of course, there's going to be a lot of old songs in the set list, a lot of classics. And in between, we have, of course, the new anthems, that will also be in the set list. But the set list will be pretty old school. I mean, people that love the 80s will have a blast on those shows for sure.
Yeah, so you had, last time we spoke as well, you were on, it was a couple of weeks away from being released, but Thrash Anthems 2, sorry, that was the album I was meant to reference a moment ago. How has that been received? Because that's been in market now a couple of months as well.
Yeah, I mean, the people that bought the album really loved the album. I think people understand that we had a lot of respect for the originals, and that we tried to keep the vibes, but of course play the songs like we feel them now. And it was actually also much more work than we thought when we recorded the album to keep that spirit, and also get all the details out that the album has, the old albums. We were 17 when we recorded some of those tracks,
Yes.
and it's been a long time. So it was a very interesting experience. I would go even further and say, every band that is like in the scene for so long would do something good, to dive back and re-record some old songs, because you catch the spirit, you catch the vibes, you have a lot of memories that come back. And also it kind of shows you how it's been done back in the day. It's for us, it was definitely an influential experience again, and it will also be a good push for the next record for us. So I think it's always good to stick to your guns and stick to your roots. And I think this album definitely helps us, and I think the fans receive it that way. Of course, there's always some haters, that say, "Oh, you cannot touch the classics and you cannot re-record the classics." But sorry, I mean, we're the originators. We started this. It's our songs. We do what the fuck we want. And if you want to start, doing a whistle album with those songs, we could do it too. It's our right. So I think as long as we don't slaughter the songs, it's all fair enough. And I think the fan reactions were really good on this one. So that's why also the people now will get a lot of more old songs into the set list.
Well, I think people should be bloody happy about that. I mean, people are always banging on about bands who play too many of their new tracks, and if you're talking about bringing down 36 years worth of thrash metal classics, mate, you should have a full house.
Yeah. I mean, we have the privilege to have too many good songs to choose from, and but it's actually it's a great thing. So the setlist will have only great tracks, and of course some of the new songs fit in really well. Actually, that's also the good thing about the setlist. It's a nice blend, and old and new fits really good together. So it's we had a lot of good reactions here in Europe, and we've just been in Russia for some shows, and people love the set list, and it's going to be a very similar one that we come to Australia. Australia will have 2 or 3 different songs, I think, than the one we just played in Russia, but Russian fans are super happy about the set list and about the songs, and I think also Australia will get a nice dose, and it's going to be a long show. At least for a thrash metal band, it's going to be at least 1.5 hours or so. Oh,
wicked, mate. Yeah. Look, we've been talking about Priest as a legendary band, but, mate, as far as a thrash metal band goes, mate, there's really, there's not many bands, in terms of, prestigious popularity, if you know what I'm saying, when you're talking about influence and prestige and the like. Destruction, man, you're up there with Metallica at the end of the day, but are you actually aware of how influential Destruction has been over so many bands over such a long time?
Yeah, I mean, it's sometimes a little surreal, and it's actually very funny that, of course, first it was the American death metal bands that named us as an influence. Then it was all the Scandinavian black metal bands that named us as an influence 10 years later. And now we have all those young thrash metal bands again that name us as influence. And it's very funny when I listen to those young bands and I hear the singers doing their squeaky vocals here and there. Then I can tell right away, okay, this guy likes Destruction, And of course, it's for us, it's an honor to be influential. But I don't register it that way. I say it's an honor, and I'm not getting a big head because of this. I'm a people that lives in.
Yeah, you're grounded.
I'm a person that lives in. I'm living in real life, I appreciate it, and it's nice to see, and but it doesn't make me a big head or something,
So last time we covered a lot of ground when we last had a chat, but there was a question I didn't get to ask you actually, so I'm going to ask it now. So I remember reading in Metal Maniacs about 18 or 20 years ago, because I used to not have a subscription, but I used to buy it whenever it came out. We used to get copies of it here at news agencies in Australia. But I remember reading an interview with you, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but you used to run a pizza shop or a bar during the 90s when you were out of Destruction. Is that true? And can you tell me a bit about that if that's the case?
Yeah, it was like a pizzeria with a bar. So we had like a beer garden and the pizza food service part of the restaurant, and then we had like a little bar next to it, which had also some metal playing. And I started in '96 after my first record with Headhunter. I said I need something to do, and I started this place and put all my effort in it. And then in 1999, Destruction came back with a big strike, and I was in trouble having the restaurant and the band, and we were touring a lot also at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So in 2004, I sold the place, and I stopped the restaurant business because one thing that you have to know about restaurant business, it's 24-hour job. It's a lot of hard work, and you have to be there. You have to be there. It's not like when you do have a franchise place where, like McDonald's, it doesn't matter where the boss is because everybody's trained and it's just like food from plastic bags, But here we had a real restaurant and I was the chef also, and it was getting more difficult. So I had to, with a heavy heart, I had to stop. But when you ask a question to yourself, like, do you want to tour the world with the band and do something unique, or you want to do your restaurant? That is also something great, but you are stuck to one place, and it's so much work. And it's at the end, it's not that you're gonna get rich from a restaurant. It's
just a lot of work, isn't it? Yeah,
it's a lot of work and a lot of passion. And I never regret that I stopped. But I always enjoyed it very much, and I learned a lot of things also in those years. And I could always do a restaurant or a bar again, maybe one day. Who knows? That's something I still enjoy. And when I'm home, I'm cooking all the time. I'm doing cocktails for my friends, and I'm still in this mode when I'm home, and I still enjoy it. But of course, music is my love, my passion, my life, and I'm happy that I can do Destruction again.
Do you think, bit of a different question for you, do you think there's ever going to be a possibility that there would be a big four of Teutonic thrash metal on a tour? You know how, of course, they had the big four with Metallica, Anthrax, and Megadeth and Slayer.
Yeah.
Would it ever be a possibility, say yourselves, Creator, Sodom, and Tankard could get together and take something like that on the road? Because I think it'd be really well received.
Yeah, you have to see that Metallica was the initiator of the Big Four, American Big Four.
Yeah.
And they basically stepped down from their big horse because they're the most popular band in heavy metal, basically. And they gave the other bands a chance to do this with there's a big gratitude, about this, because Metallica didn't have to do it. They gave big parts away to those bands, and they made it a big bill. And the same has to happen for the German Big Four. Creator are the biggest band of us at the moment, and Miller from Creator has to get this together. I had a chat with him lately, and I said, Miller, Destruction is ready. Whenever you want to do this,
nice.
Let's
okay,
do it.
Yeah.
And it's basically up to Tankard and to Sodom to join this, because Tankard are not doing this professionally. They're having jobs and stuff,
Oh, is that right?
So,
okay, yeah.
So this is the problem number one, and now Sodom has a new lineup, and maybe they want to tour more. Hopefully this is a good sign for this tour to happen. But I also said to Miller, whenever you want to do it, I'm ready. So Destruction is in, and hopefully 2019 will be the right year for that. We're holding back our plans for 2019 yet, and hopefully
wonderful.
we can make this happen. I mean, every heavy metal or thrash metal fan in the world is waiting for this tour, so it has to happen.
Yeah, I agree. Look, don't get me wrong here, but God, even we're all getting older, if you know what I'm saying, and there's that window.
Exactly. We're all healthy. The window is closing one day.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
That's how it is, though. Yeah.
We're all not getting any younger, and that's how I see it too. And I will do my best to keep the ball rolling and to talk to Miller. But at the end, it's Miller's call. Creator.
Yeah.
If Creator pulls this out, they have to do the right schedule, and have to be the right money, of course, for the other bands to maybe stop their jobs for a while or something. I don't know how this is working for them, but there was always the problem in the last years that the other guys couldn't do it because they have like their jobs and their families and stuff.
Yeah, I understand.
It's different with Creator and us. We're both professional bands. We're both touring bands. We both a lot of time on the road, so we could start any time together. But it's more up to Sodom and Tankard at the moment. So I'm hopeful. I will keep the ball rolling. Talk to the guys. Maybe I'm gonna write another email later on today. Now that you reminded me of, and say, guys, what's up? Let's plan this for 2019. Let's do it, and we'll see. it would be a dream come true that it finally happens. It's
Agreed, yeah.
as you said, we're not getting any younger.
Mate, I'll just do a time check. How much more time have I got?
You have 5 more minutes if you want.
Five more
no
minutes.
problem.
Okay, I'll get this question out then. What episode from your career gives you the greatest sense of pride? Because you've had some incredible episodes, haven't you? Some wonderful albums.
Yeah, it's difficult, when you look back at the great times and at all those albums and different phases of the band and in the 80s and the start and how everything, when something starts, something is new, something is exciting, you cannot repeat it. It's like having the first time sex, it's like it's like, wow, what the fuck was that, and I can compare our career pretty much to sex, it's like, when was the best time you had sex? Do you remember, or is there too many good experience?
Sure. Yeah.
I think it's very difficult to just name one phase. Of course, the 80s, the start was very special, and of course also the reunion was something that was very touching for me because I was kicked out of the band, but I was the one that could bring the band back, and I never thought this would happen. For the time I was out of the band, and the guys continued without me, I was 100% sure this is it, So
yeah.
I think those two moments are very special. The reunion, for the first reunion months or years, and also the beginning of the band when everything just formed out of nowhere. Those young kids from the hillbilly part of Germany kind of became an international metal band, kind of crazy. I think those are the two monuments of my career.
Wonderful answer to that question, mate. I'll let you get to your next interview. You're a legend. Thank you so much for answering my questions, and hopefully we can catch up and share a beer when you come to Australia.
Oh, you have to come to the show.
I will be there. Yeah. Yep.
Talk to John so you get you on the guest list and then come over for a drink.
Yeah, for sure, mate. Yeah, I'd look forward to that.
Okay.
It'd be great to catch up.
Yeah, sounds great, Andrew. Okay.
All right, mate. No worries.
See you in 4 weeks then.
Absolutely. Look forward to it, mate.
All right.
Okay, then.
Okay. Have a good night.
No
Bye-bye.
worries. Bye. You are listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast. My name is Andrew Mackay-Smith, and that was my conversation with Schmier, the legendary frontman of thrash metal icons from Germany, Destruction. Thank you so much for listening.